Namaste friends, my name is Amit Garg. Welcome to my channel Ganesha-Hanuman.com. Today we'll talk about the upcoming very powerful solar eclipse that's going to be taking place on October 14th, 2023 in the morning around 10:54 a.m. Pacific time, US Pacific time. You see, eclipses are very karmic events. Eclipse, either solar or lunar. During an eclipse, as we know, all three, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in one line. The sun is the soul, earth is the physical body, and moon is our mind. So the body, mind, and soul, they're all aligned. And so it's a perfect time for us to do meditation, go within, focus on our spiritual activities. Not so great for, materialistic activities. But every eclipse, there is something that ends and there is something that begins. So the eclipses indicate the end of something and a new beginning for something else. So they're very, very karmic events. And so this eclipse that's taking place on October 14th, it's going to be visible in the US and in Africa, not in other parts of the world, but it doesn't matter really. The eclipses affect everybody. It's just that if it's visible, let's say it's a solar eclipse, during the daytime, it'll be visible in the US and Africa. One should not go out and look at the eclipse. It's like a new birth for the sun. Rahu or Ketu, one of those nodes, they'll be engulfing. So in this case, Ketu will be engulfing the sun. And so it's like the death and rebirth of the sun. So it's best not to go out, not to be in that shadow, in that twilight zone kind of a thing. Stay indoors. Do not eat anything at least 8 to 10 hours before the eclipse. Take a shower after the eclipse. You can make donations. So we'll talk about the remedies, what you can do. And specifically, we'll talk about all the 12 different signs. So let me show you exactly the chart for the eclipse when it's going to take place. So this is how it's going to look like in the skies when eclipse is going to take place on October 14th at 10:54 a.m. Pacific time. So the sun and the moon, they're going to be, of course, they're conjunct. It's a new moon. Every solar eclipse takes place on a new moon, right? So as you can see here, both sun and moon, they're approaching Ketu and Mars, right? So they're marching towards Ketu and Mars, and Ketu being retrograde all the time, so it's coming towards sun and moon. So it's like a head-on collision between sun and moon and Ketu. And Ketu is on the edge. You can see it's 0 degrees, right? So it's at 0 degrees of Libra, whereas sun and moon are 26 degrees of Mercury, of Virgo. So they're approaching each other, okay? And so it's a very sensitive time. Ketu and Mercury both are very fiery Pitta planets, and they're both approaching sun and moon. And Ketu being on the edge, Ketu is the body of the demon whose head was cut off by Lord Vishnu. And so Ketu and Rahu, they're like shadow planets. They love being at the edge of the sign. So they're extremely powerful when they're at 0 degrees or 29 degrees. The nodes of the moon, the Rahu and Ketu, they're extremely powerful. So in this case, this particular solar eclipse taking place when sun and moon are approaching Ketu within a few degrees, and Ketu is at the edge of the sign. It's very, very, very powerful. The other thing you can notice is the air signs, which is the Gemini, the Libra, and Aquarius. They have 3 malefic planets in there, right? So the air signs need to be extra careful. All 3 signs in trines to each other: Saturn, Mars, and Ketu. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about all the 12 rising signs. Now, going further, deeper, this eclipse is taking place in the nakshatra of Chitra. Nakshatras are the lunar mansions. Right, so we have 27 nakshatras, and the moon stays with each of the nakshatra for about a day. And so this eclipse is taking place in the nakshatra of Chitra. Chitra literally means a piece of art, but the symbol of Chitra, one of the symbols is a jewel or a pearl. And if we understand how a pearl is formed, many, many years of intense pressure, right? So that's the energy of Chitra. That's the intense tapasya, the purification. And so that's the theme of this eclipse. We may discover a lot of secrets, a lot of jewels and pearls through our sadhana, through our meditation. But to start anything new, as I mentioned in the beginning, eclipses indicates the ending of one thing and the beginning of something else. But the beginning, you should wait until the eclipse is over to start anything new. So that right after the eclipse, you can take a shower and make some donations. Of course, throughout the eclipse, you can do the meditation and your spiritual work. After the eclipse, you can start these new things. So we'll talk about all the 12 signs, what new things you can start specific to your rising sign. Now, if you see here, the eclipse is taking place in the sign of Virgo, right? Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is actually exalted in Virgo, right? So we have an exalted planet sitting next to Sun and Moon, so that makes it even more powerful. It is exalted, and Mercury itself is sitting in the nakshatra of Hasta. Hasta literally means your hands, and hands, it represents things you do with your hands, like mudras, namaste, massaging your hands. Those are the things, the remedies you can do during this eclipse. But also Hasta indicates grabbing what you desire in your hands. So achieve things. So achievement is, and basically grabbing the things that you want, you desire in your hands. So that's the overall energy for this eclipse. That, of course, true for everybody, no matter what your rising sign. So the themes are, it's going to take place in Chitra Nakshatra, which symbolizes jewel, creativity, and also purification. And then their Sun and Moon are going towards Ketu and Mars. Both are in the next sign. It's a lot of Pitta, fiery energy. And air signs need to be very, very careful. So in terms of remedies, so what can we do? We spoke about the do's and don'ts in general for all eclipses. And you can make donations. You can do meditation. You can do painting, art, any kind of artwork. During this particular eclipse, it'll be very powerful because it's taking place in the nakshatra of Chitra, which literally means a piece of art. So you can do like mandala painting, the coloring of the deities, the Shakti coloring books and all of those. You can do some mudras. And then you can also do remedies for Ketu, because this is being caused by Ketu. Ketu, the deity for Ketu is Ganesha. So any Ganesh mantra, any donations, especially to the ascetics, will be very, very, very powerful during this eclipse. Now, how this will affect each of the 12 rising signs, and what are the remedies, what are the positive things they can do, we'll see one by one from Aries through Pisces. So let me share my screen. We'll look at the chart. Here we go. So this is the chart for eclipse, and October 14th, 10:54 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to go one by one, all the 12 rising signs. First of all, of course, for Aries rising, number one is Aries. The eclipse is taking place in Virgo, which is the 6th house. So this eclipse is taking place in your 6th house, and 6th house deals with our health, so you can start new health routines. It's a perfect time for that. You should get checked up, just general checkup, like physical, and you may find some new things. Take care of your digestion, and in general, it's a powerful time to work on your Shadripus. Shadripus are the 6 weaknesses. So those are represented by the 6th house. Those 6 weaknesses are Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar. Kam is lust, Krodh is anger, Lobh is greed, Moh is attachment, Mad is pride or ego, and then Matsara is jealousy. So those 6 enemies we need to work on. For Aries rising especially, this is a powerful time to work on these 6 weaknesses. And then 6th house relates to our enemies. 6th house relates to our job that we do, the service that we do for others. So all of those things will be the focus. Now, be careful with this fiery energy in your 7th house, though, right? So Ketu and Mars, they're sitting in the 7th house. So there could be a lot of anger building up in your relationship. So make sure, there are no anger. Basically, keep the fire energy away from your relationships. And eclipse is taking place in the 6th house, right? So not a very good time for exams and competitions and things like that. But after the eclipse, you can start especially working on your health, set up new health routines. And perfect remedy for Aries rising would be giving away money, donations, or just like bonuses to your employees or people who work for you, things like that. So those are some of the things you can do for Aries rising. Next, let's look at Taurus rising. That's the number 2 sign, Taurus. So for Taurus rising, as you can see, Virgo sign is the 5th house. So the eclipse is taking place in the 5th house, and this fiery energy, Mars and Ketu, in the 6th house for Taurus rising. So Taurus, 5th house, is connected with our creativity. Immense creativity. This is an absolutely fantastic time for you to start something new, something creative, because it's taking place in Chitra Nakshatra, which represents creativity. And 5th house itself is about doing creative things. So this is a powerful time for you to work on enhancing your creativity. 5th house deals with our children. So take care of your children, but also good time to start something new. Some creative projects with your children. You could start some new mantras. 5th house is also deals with the mantras. You can pick up a new mantra or just chant lots of mantras during this eclipse. And you can do some artwork with your kids, right? So any creative work with your kids, or have them start some projects, initiatives, some courses, things like that. You could do like massage. You can, and also because Mercury, exalted Mercury in Hasta Nakshatra, so you can give a massage to your kids. They could do like some panchakarma, things like that. So that could be one of the remedies also. Like you could give some gifts to your children or to your students, your disciples. You can start some mantras and things like that. So that will be the impact of this eclipse on Taurus rising people. Next would be Gemini rising. For Gemini, as you can see, the eclipse is taking place in the 4th house, Virgo sign, right? And Mars and Ketu sitting in the 5th house. So a lot of fire energy in the 5th house. Be very careful dealing with your children not to have any anger issues. Don't let any ego issues come in the way. But the focus of this eclipse for Gemini rising will be the 4th house, which is connected with our mother. Take care of your mother. That's a huge remedy for this. Do things for your mother. Also, 4th house is about our place of residence, our house, the vehicles that we drive. And so anything new projects at home, or something new with your mother, something buying a new vehicle, all those things are good. But also 5th house has fire energy, right? So make sure you do not jump into any romantic relationships right away, because Mars and Ketu may make you, go nonstop. But think through any romantic relationships if you are thinking of getting into something like that. And the Lagna Lord is exalted, right? The Lagna is Gemini, and Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo both. So Mercury is exalted in the 4th house. So essentially, your entire focus will be on your home. It could be even like home-based business. You could start some business from home, or renovate your home, or just spend time at your home place of residence. That becomes your place of refuge, and you can do things with your mother as a remedy. Next is Cancer rising. So Cancer is number 4 sign. For Cancer rising, this eclipse is taking place in the 3rd house. Virgo is the 3rd house for Cancer rising. Sun and Moon in Chitra Nakshatra, Mercury exalted in Hasta Nakshatra, and Mars and Ketu in the 4th house. So 4th house has excess of Pitta energy, fire energy. Be careful when you talk to your mother. So make sure there are no anger issues. There are no ego issues, right? Now, third house deals with all sorts of communications, written, verbal, everything. So be very careful, because eclipse means uncertainty or blind spots or things we miss, right? So there may be some misunderstandings in your communications, written and verbal. Be very careful in your communications. Other than that, uh, you know, uh, good time to develop some new creative skills, good time to initiate some communications, but you could do that after the eclipse. So it's a powerful time to also take care of some errands, right? So within the city, like short distance travels, those will be fruitful, but also there could be some misunderstandings, some blind spots around those areas. So take care of those, and then Mercury being in Hasta. So all hand exercises, mudras, hand gestures will be very, very powerful remedy for Cancer rising. Next is Leo rising. Leo is number 5 sign. Leo rising, second house is where the eclipse is taking place in Virgo. Sun and moon in Chitra. Mercury is exalted in the second house in the Hasta nakshatra. You see here Hasta. And the third house has excess of fire, Pitta energy, Mars and Ketu sitting there. So first of all, yeah, so be careful in your communication with your siblings, especially younger siblings, a lot of fire energy in the third house of siblings. So now second house represents our speech, our family, and our food that we eat. So those areas, be careful, but also the opportunity to start something new. There is eclipse, which means misunderstandings possible, but also a powerful time to begin new, to start something new around those areas, new speaking engagements, a webinar or YouTube channel, spending more time with your family, working on your family wealth, some projects with your family, right? Starting some new diet, things like that. But just don't, make sure there's no ego involved when you are dealing with your family or with your younger siblings as well. So a perfect remedy for, especially for Leo rising, with eclipse in the second house, which represents the food, is any kind of food donations. So food donation is a perfect remedy for Leo rising. Next, let's see Virgo rising. Of course, the eclipse is taking place in your Lagna, in your first house. A very, very, very powerful time for you. And second house has Mars and Ketu, fire energy in the house of your family, speech. Be very careful with your speech. Do not let anger, sit on your tongue. Be very careful with your food. Don't eat too much spicy pitta food. Okay. And so the eclipse in the Lagna, that means this is like phoenix rising. This may be like you may rediscover yourself. This is a time for self-healing, self-growth, self-discovery, right? Self-development, personality development. All those things are very, very powerful during this eclipse. This is a time for new version of yourself, new avatar, right? So the 10th Lord and the Lagna Lord, Mercury, both are exalted sitting in the Lagna. Extremely good time for your career also, but make sure there are no misunderstandings because eclipses take place. But a fantastic time to start something new, big for your career as well after the eclipse. So perfect remedy is just take care of yourself. Self-care, self-analysis, and meditation are wonderful things during this eclipse. Next is Libra rising, as we see a lot of Pitta energy on your Lagna, on your head, on your mind. And then eclipse taking place in your 12th house, Sun and Moon in Chitra Nakshatra and exalted Mercury in Hasta Nakshatra. So for Libra, 12th house, right? And then fire energy on your Lagna. Make sure there's no ego in anything that you do. And 12th house also represents our losses, the things that we give away. So get rid of anything and everything that is not needed. Just don't hold on to things you think are not serving you well, are not meant for you. Okay. And you can develop new connections with foreign people, foreign land, foreign subjects, study something foreign. But be careful with the blind spots, because 12th house represents things that we're not easily able to see. So an eclipse taking place there. So very, very careful about not missing any details, not, pay attention to everything you do. Make sure you double check everything. But on the positive side, you can do yoga nidra, sleep meditation, astral travel, all of that. And then in terms of remedy, I would say the very powerful remedy is donation connected with the 12th house, which is hospitals, ashrams, foreign places, foreign countries. So this could actually also mean you may make a foreign trip, so that'll be fruitful for you. But make donations to ashrams or hospitals and places like that. Next is Scorpio rising. Scorpio is number 8 sign. As you can see, Mars and Ketu sitting in your 12th house, and eclipse taking in your 11th house with Sun and Moon in Chitra Nakshatra and Mercury in Hasta Nakshatra, exalted Mercury in the 11th house. So a lot of fire energy in the 12th house. That means make sure you're not, your sleep may be impacted. So do head massage or feet massage before you go to bed. So take care of fire energy on the 12th house, and literally, take care of any physical fires also possible. Now, 11th house, that's where eclipse is taking place. You may develop new friendships, and old ones may dissolve. So you may actually get rid of some things, some friendships, some social networks, and you may start new. Be careful of any, shady friendships or friendships that are not real. And also 11th house represents our desires and gains. And so you may fulfill your desires and gains. Financial gains are possible, but be careful, especially putting your face out there on social media and all that. There may be misunderstandings, but yes, opportunity for starting something new in those areas as well. Next is Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius is number 9 sign. For Sagittarius rising, as you can see, Mars and Ketu fire energy in your 11th house, but the eclipse taking place in the 10th house. Sun and Moon in Chitra Nakshatra and exalted Mercury in Hasta Nakshatra. Now, 10th house is connected with our profession, right? So be careful of any misunderstandings or secrets or shady things happening at work. At the same time, powerful time, very, very strong big opportunity to start something new at work. Okay, because especially your 10th lord is exalted and sitting in the 10th house in Hasta Nakshatra. That means literally it just translates to achievements, big achievements. Do something big and grab in your hands. Ask for promotion or after the eclipse though, and also make sure there's no fire energy with your friends, especially with the Mars and Ketu sitting in the 11th house. Okay. Next is Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising, you can see the fire energy, Pitta energy, Mars and Ketu in the 10th house. Make sure there are no ego issues at work or with their superiors. And of course, the eclipse is taking place in the 9th house, Sun and Moon sitting in the 9th house in Chitra Nakshatra, exalted Mercury in Hasta Nakshatra in the 9th house. So this is 10th house, as we saw. Do not make any hasty decisions regarding your work. Mars and Ketu sitting there. Avoid any headless mistakes, right? And then you may actually find new gurus or teachers or dharma, or just you may start new discussions like spiritual discussions, sangha and dharma. All of that is possible. But be very careful. There might be misunderstandings with your gurus, your teachers, right? Because eclipse is taking place. So you may develop new relationship with gurus and teachers. You may find new gurus after the eclipse. But be careful with any, make sure all the communication, everything is clear. There are no misunderstandings. So your dharma may shift actually after this eclipse. You may find new answers, right, to your questions about spirituality. Next one is Aquarius rising. Mars and Ketu are in the 9th house, excess of fire energy in the 9th house. So make sure there are no ego or anger issues with their gurus, with their superiors. Okay, and the eclipse is taking place in the 8th house, Sun and Moon sitting in Chitra Nakshatra, and Mercury exalted in Hasta Nakshatra. So 8th house is the focus area. Now 8th house deals with secrets, hidden things. So this eclipse may actually bring to light some personal secrets or some deep esoteric secrets, huge wisdom. You may find new wisdom, and you may actually start some new esoteric subjects and studies and deep meditation. Hidden wealth may be discovered, all of that. So some kind of secrets may be revealed. But the best remedy is just sit and do meditation, go deep in esoteric studies, pick up something new. All of that will be very, very powerful for you. And finally, Pisces rising. Mars and Ketu are in your 8th house. Be very careful driving. Mars in the 8th house may, may be connected with like rash or rash driving. So a lot of fire pitta energy in the 8th house, and the eclipse is taking place in the 7th house of relationships. Sun and Moon are in the Chitra Nakshatra, and exalted Mercury in the Hasta Nakshatra sitting in the 7th house. So 7th house is the focus. 7th house represents other people, especially one-on-one relationships, both personal and business relationships. So this eclipse may actually, you may uncover some secrets with respect to your relationships. And also, this may actually kindle some new relationships after this eclipse. So the entire focus will be on one-on-one partnerships and relationships, but be very careful about this fire energy in the 8th house. Drive carefully, and also there may be like some kind of hidden fears and things like that. Just ignore any of that feeling. Eclipses are karmic events, very, very powerful alignments for us to make both spiritual and material progress. So make use of these. The effects of eclipse can be felt even a few months before and a few months after the eclipse this day. So I hope you get the blessings during this eclipse, and it's all very, very positive and good for you. And please like and share and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.